welcome back to my channel. This is just like a little update video, random, just stuff that's going on that I just want to talk about. So you may be, I think I talked about in a previous video that I'm currently looking for a therapist to help me with my, just to help me really manage my anxiety, OCD, life in general, really, because you know, I'm practically I'm stuck at home, can't really go out much because I'm OCD and COVID and everything. So I'm sort of needing some sort of therapeutic assistance, really, because I can't see anyone face to face at the moment, so it'll be all done over Zoom. I think the last time I spoke, I did tell you that I was seeing a new therapist, someone based in London that I'd found online, but I didn't really connect with her. Like, I didn't really get on with her. It wasn't anything she said. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything that upset me or anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was just that I didn't really connect with her. A sort of intangible. I don't know really. It might have been anything. Her mannerisms, her accent, the questions she asked me. I didn't really feel like she understood me. I'm not sure, like, I think, like, I was trying to tell her about my, like, sensory issues and stuff like that, and she didn't seem to have the right understanding of my issues, which obviously are very bad and affect me a lot, but she seemed to kind of misunderstand how they affected me. I don't know, it just felt like she didn't really understand me, and I felt misunderstood. And you sort of want a therapist to kind of meet you where you are, and kind of, maybe I felt like she wasn't really listening to what I had to say, or was assuming things about me that weren't true. And I am quite sensitive to, like, body language and tone of voice and things like that, I think, on a sensory level. So if someone has the wrong body language for me, or they speak in a certain way that I don't like, it's got nothing to do with them, they can't help it, it's not their fault. It's to do with the fact that it jars with me and I'm very sensitive. So I need someone with a particular tone of voice, a particular accent that I like, I guess. It's not about being discriminatory or anything, it's literally a sensory thing. Like, I either like someone's accent or I don't like it. And no offence, it really is that. It's on an emotional level, they need to have the right fit, like, sort of thing. I'm very, very, very picky about the type of person that I gel with. And yeah, they could be the nicest person on earth, but if they don't have the right manner or the right kind of body language for me, I can't connect with them, and I just didn't really feel like I connected with this person. I don't know whether or not it was because, I don't know what it was. It's something quite intangible. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't connect. So that one has ended, and I'm still looking for a new therapist. And I've spoken to one or two on Zoom for free, because some of them provide free consultations, which is good. I like it when they do that. That's a good sign, I feel, because it's just nice them offering that, you know, because it's, otherwise you end up paying and you don't know if you're going to like it, and then you paid this money, which is kind of a waste. I mean, obviously I'm getting it funded via social services, direct payments anyway, but still, what I mean is, it's nice not having to commit, not having to pay for something that you don't know if you're going to like it. So speaking to someone free on Zoom means you can decide if you want to pursue it. You still might not end up not getting on with it, might have to stop the therapy, but it gives you an idea. So I spoke to one person on Zoom, a counsellor based not too far away from me, who straight away I was like, nope, this isn't going to work. Because she said, this is what she said that led me to that conclusion. She said, I love working with autistic people. She said, they're actually one of the best groups of people. I really like working with them because they're really logical, they're really intelligent, and they just know what they want out of therapy. And I'm like sitting there thinking, that's a lot of assumptions you've just made there. I don't think this is going to work out too well. You've assumed that I'm intelligent. I mean, it's great if you think I'm intelligent once you've got to know me, but don't assume anything. I'm just an average person. You don't assume anything about me just because I'm autistic, and you've assumed that I'm really logical. Yes, I do happen to be quite logical, but that's still a massive assumption just because I'm autistic, and I don't always know what I want. Sometimes I do know what I want, but I don't always know what I want, and you've just assumed that because I'm autistic, I'm going to know what I want. So this doesn't really sit very comfortably with me. So I was like, straight away, I was like, okay, this is someone who makes assumptions, who makes stereotypes. I'm not going to pursue this. It didn't sit well with me. So I didn't tell her that. I was very tactful. I just said, I need to think about it, but deep down I was thinking, no, I'm not pursuing this. The other thing I've noticed, and I don't want to draw generalisations or make my own assumptions. This is just anecdotal, but unfortunately I have had quite a lot of reinforcement of what I feel. I tend to find that therapists who have autistic kids don't always make the best therapists for me, because it's like they're too personally involved with autism. Like, they go home to it, they're kind of invested in it on an emotional level, and I sometimes feel a certain transference, that is a psychological word, isn't it, but a certain transference of, even if they're not intending it, there's often a sort of transference of energy about their kids that they project onto you. And because they're only human at the end of the day, and even if it's unintentional, if you're personally involved with something, it's very hard not to let that affect how you are. And quite a few therapists claim experience based upon them having autism in a family, like autistic kids in particular. And that doesn't sit very well with me. I'd like someone who has objective distance from my condition. I like them to have a lot of professional experience. I like them to have worked with lots of autistic people and have lots of professional experience to fall back on. But I don't want to feel that they go home to it, that they're invested in it personally, emotionally. So I prefer it if they don't have autism in their immediate family, maybe in a distant family, they're not personally involved then, but not like in their immediate family. I like having distance from it, and I also find that those who do have it in their immediate family, like kids, are more likely to have autistic, I don't like that word, autistic traits. I can't think of an alternative way to describe it, but autism does run in families, doesn't it? And even if the parent doesn't have autism themselves, they might have certain characteristics, genetic shadow kind of characteristics that might mean that they struggle maybe with the empathy side. Maybe they're not quite as good at listening. They might have other sort of neurodiverse characteristics which might not be good for me in therapy, because I need someone in therapy. What I need in therapy essentially is someone who's as far away from me as possible on the how can I put it? As far away from me as possible in terms of autism. Like, I want them to be really good at empathy, really good at theory of mind, really good at listening, really good at social skills, essentially. I want to feel that I have things in common with them. It's nice if they can relate to me in terms of other things, but I'd like them to be as far away from me as possible on the autism. I don't want them to be anywhere near autism, basically. I want them to have professional experience. I want them to be very knowledgeable of autism. I want them to work with lots of autistic people, but I don't want them to be personally involved with autism. I certainly don't want them to have autism themselves, God no. And looking on the National Autistic Society Service Directory, and a surprising number of people on there who are therapists either have autistic kids or identify with autism themselves. Sometimes it's a little bit wishy-washy and ambiguous, like I'm not quite sure whether or not they're saying they're autistic or whether or not they think they have so-called autism traits. But I don't like it. I want someone who's objectively neutral. There was one psychologist that I emailed. I said to her, I don't want a psychologist. I don't want a therapist who's autistic. And she said, well, I'm not diagnosed with autism, but I do identify with autistic ways of thinking. I'm thinking, okay, how do I interpret that? It kind of like annoys me when someone says that, because I'm like, autism is a serious thing, it's a disability. I don't like it if it feels to me like they're trivialising it, because it isn't an identity. It's not, you can't just have a little bit of autism. It's like, it's full on, you either have the disability or you don't have the disability, and I don't like that. And I'm like, well, I'm not pursuing that, because clearly you don't think along that. You ideologically, we're miles apart in terms of how we understand autism. I certainly don't want anyone who's hardcore neurodiversity. I don't mind if they kind of loosely agree with aspects of neurodiversity, as long as they're able to see the other side. I don't want one of those ideologues who's kind of bleating on about neurodiversity, because they tend to be the hardcore autism is a gift type drivel. That's what they tend to come out with. Or they try and want to fix you, or they have an ultra positive mindset, which is unrealistic. I want them to meet me where I'm at. I want them to understand it's a disability for me. I don't want them to try and impose their ideology on me. I want them to be quite balanced in their perspective, uninvolved, which is more likely if they don't have autism in their family. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to move over to video number 2 now, because I've got more to say and I don't want this video to run out of me. So moving on to video number 2.